Hey everybody, I'm Den Haring for Fish Den 365, and if you're watching this right now, it can only mean one thing. It's Topwater Tuesday! And not only that, it's Halloween. Happy Halloween out there, everybody. Ooh. Snark's trying to scare me for Halloween. You didn't think I saw you there, did you? He's probably going to spit a shat out at me or something in the middle of the video. Well, I caught you, so you can't do nothing now. And he's just going to stay there like I don't see him. It's typical Snark. All right, so let's talk about this Topwater Tuesday subject. So here we are now. It's getting colder, and we're at the last day of October, tomorrow, November. Crazy how fast the time goes. The older you get, the faster your perception of time goes. It's kind of like a toilet flush, you know, the further you get along in life, the faster the swirl as it's going down. But anyway, let's get back to the subject at hand here, Topwater Tuesday. You know, it's not too late to catch bass on topwaters. This includes largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, and stripers too, for that matter. But things are starting to change now. You know, I was just out at Nakamixon. The water temperature was 62.3 degrees. It's been staying there now. We've had that warm week, and it's going to get colder again now, so that water temperature is going to plunge some more. But even as water temperature plunges into the 50s, especially when it's above 55 or right down to 55, you can still get bass on topwaters pretty regularly if you do some certain things. Once that water temperature goes down into the low 50s, this is later in November, around Thanksgiving, the topwater bite, it becomes tougher. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it almost is. It's almost something that I don't really focus on or attempt to do so much anymore unless the conditions are just right, which sometimes it happens. But let's talk about between now and then what we can do to get fish on top. And at this time of the year, I separate largemouths from smallmouths quite a bit because they behave a bit differently. And so at this time of year, once that water is pushing down into the high 50s, for largemouth, there's a specific time of day where they seem to like to hit topwater more, and that's the last hour or two, especially the last hour of daylight. I like to find them where there is rock. If you have some weed beds that lead to some rock where you have a little channel with that rock, they're going to be there. And if the water settles down in the evening, for largemouth, I don't like it to be very windy for the topwater bite this time of year. A little ripple, okay. Even calm water is just as okay, maybe better in some cases. And what I like to do is throw a bait like this, like the Rebel jointed minnow. The largemouths this time of year, they all take a big bait. They like something large. They're looking to feed for the winter. And what I like to do with a bait like this is just throw it out there, let the ripples subside, and just move it a few times, just on the top, and just let it dance there. And sometimes it'll come up real slow and it'll just suck it in. The other thing I like to do is just reel it in real slow, just so that it goes just slightly under the water and makes a wake. And I've caught a lot of nice bass over the years in November at the lakes I fished, and primarily Nakamixon because it's so close to home here. I used to go down and had this shoreline spot where there was this little rock jetty that went out. And year after year in mid-November, November 10th, 11th, 12th, in that range, I would catch them when the conditions were right. And that would be end of day, calm water, light, sunlight, sun going down. That's when they're more susceptible. That's when they're looking up and looking for a bait like this. Any minnow type lure that you can retrieve along the top and make a wake works this time of year. And don't ignore these kind of baits either. The horny toads or the real deal shad. You just want to fish them slower, as slow as you can go with them and still make that noise on top. These baits still work this time of year, especially in that last hour or two of daylight. The other thing you can throw is a frog or a mouse. You know, that you can throw, you can fish real slow. You just move it a few times on the surface and then just let it sit, move it a few times and let it sit. So that's what I do for largemouths. My approach for smallmouths is a little bit different. This time, you know, smallmouths, you know, they kind of can handle more cold water than largemouths do, or they just seem to do better with it. They're more active in colder waters, is what I meant to say. And so this bite is not done for smallmouths yet. You can do this through November, and I've done this through November for smallmouth bass. I like to take two different types of baits. One is a Sammy, something like this, and sometimes I'll use a smaller bait because smallmouths' mouths are smaller, and sometimes a smaller bait is fine for these fish. But I won't fish it fast. I won't fish it in a cadence that comes straight back to me. Instead, it's 1, 2, 3, and stop. Just let it sit there. 1, 2, stop. I'm fishing it very slow. The colder the water, the slower I fish it. This is a Zip and Ziggy, an owner Zip and Ziggy. Little smaller bait. Same way though. 1, 2, stop. 1, 2, 3, stop. And usually when you stop, that's when they'll come up and either suck it in, or sometimes they hit it pretty aggressively. I do this a lot at Beltsville under the right conditions. Again, the best conditions are late afternoon. That late afternoon is the prime time to get these topwater bites. But you know, I say this and you might be thinking, well, what's the point? It might not be the best bite. But a lot of times it is. Even this time of year, you can catch some of the biggest fish on top this time of year at that time of day. So don't ignore it. Don't, especially if you're having struggles catching them other ways. At the end of the day, the last few hours, put whatever you were doing down. Try this. You might be surprised. 2 other baits that I like for the smallmouths. One of them, if you can get it, is the Norman Top Dollar. It's a really good bait this time of year. Again, fishing it extremely slowly. 1, 2, 3, stop. And just making it spit a little bit and then stop. And then last but certainly not least is the Rebel Pop R, the Super Pop R. That's the one I like the best. It's got to me a better shape. I even shaved this lip down a little bit more so that I can make it walk a little bit better and spit a little more without making a big chug. I don't like the big bloop chugs, especially this time of year. That's for a different time of year when the water's warmer. I just like to skip this thing along the surface, skip, stop, move, stop. Another thing that I'll sometimes do with these baits is I'll throw them out there and I'll just let them sit and I'll just move them ever so slightly. I mean, like that. Just ever so slightly, just so it makes a few ripples and you got that tail hanging down, and you can get smallmouths right into Thanksgiving and if you fish this thing slow enough when they're looking up. Well, for Halloween, it's a trick or treat, right? You can sometimes get tricked by these fish, but sometimes you can get the treat as well. And when it comes to topwater, keep on throwing. If you're out there, if the conditions are right, don't ignore it. Give it a try. You might just find that you caught the biggest fish of the day or even of the season throwing the topwater bait. Hope you liked the video. If you did, give me the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. When you do, hit that bell. You'll get a notification for when the next video is available. For Snark and myself, happy Halloween. Can't believe we're getting into November already, but anyway, don't stop fishing. This is a good time of year to fish right now, and I'm looking forward to getting out there again real soon. Hope to see you out there. Be safe, and as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.